We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football. We love everything in college football, although I am being tested. If you love everything in college football, please consider subscribing to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support the channel through a donation, super chat, hit the $sign, make a comment, and we'll get to it as fast as we can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend in the comments and with your phone calls. And we're going to open up the phone lines almost immediately. First of all, yes, this is our second live show of the day. That's why it's important that you subscribe to our channel and get yourself notified because we can pop up at any time. Earlier today, we covered the selection show in real time. It was an abomination. An abomination according to your host. I was only able to get to a few phone calls and some comments, and then I had some life obligations I had to attend to. So I told you at the end of the live stream earlier today that we're going to come on alive again today, and we're going to get to your phone calls, to your comments. So we're going to open up the lines real soon here. I just want to get the lay of the land, public statements from officials. Also, the bowl games are starting to get released. Official bowl games, who's playing where, is starting to getting released right now. So keep your head on a swivel. We're going to be going through that as well. College football playoff selection Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. This is a statement from the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. It's unfathomable that Florida State, an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, was left out of the college football playoff. Their exclusion calls into question the selection process and whether the committee's own guidelines were followed, including the significant importance of being an undefeated Power 5 conference champion. My heart breaks for the talented FSU student athletes and coaches and their passionate and loyal fans. Florida State deserves better. College football deserves better. This is Corey Simon, an alum, Florida State. He's in politics. He tweeted this out. The corruption of college football rears its ugly head again. ESPN and Disney have a vested interest in the SEC participating in the college football playoffs. Lawsuits should be filed tomorrow. Corey Simon. This is from Mike Norvell, the head coach of Florida State. Mike Norvell. I'm disgusted and infuriated with the committee's decision today to have what was earned on the field taken away because a small group of people decided they knew better than the results of the games. What is the point of playing games? Do you tell players it's okay to quit if someone goes down? Do you not play a senior on senior day for fear of injury? Where is the motivation to schedule challenging non-conference games? We are not only an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, but we also played two Power 5 non-conference games away from home and won them both. I don't understand how we are supposed to think this is an acceptable way to evaluate a team. I'm hurting for our players who have displayed a tremendous amount of resilience and response this season. What happened today goes against everything that is true and right in college football. A team that overcame tremendous adversity and found a way to win, doing whatever it took on the field, was cheated today. It is a sad day for college football. I'm proud of the work we have put in and the players I have the privilege to coach. We have one more opportunity to define the 2023 team in the Orange Bowl, and I believe in how our team will respond. Now, earlier in the live show today, we had Mike Alford's beautiful comment, athletic director of Florida State. We just heard Mike Norvell. We just heard from Jim Phillips. We just heard from an alumnus who is in politics in the state of Florida. But the one public comment that should embarrass the committee the most, more than what Mike Norvell just said, more than what Mike Alford said, more than what Jim Phillips said, more than what Corey Simon said, more than anybody said on Twitter, more than anybody said on message boards, more than anybody has said on college football YouTube channels. The most incriminating, the comment that should embarrass the committee the most came from Florida State's leader, the quarterback, Jordan Travis. Do you want to see what he said? You want to see what Jordan Travis said? Devastated, heartbroken, in so much disbelief. I wish my leg broke earlier in the season So you all could see the team is much more than a quarterback. I thought results matter. 13-0. And this roster matches up across any team in those top 4 rankings. I am so sorry. Goal Knowles. I wish my leg broke earlier, so the team would have more time to prove themselves. After reading that, I don't know how you cannot be embarrassed if you're part of that selection committee. I don't know how ESPN, these talking heads, now it's not uniformed, but my goodness, I don't even want to get started again because I'm just going to rattle on. This show, this live stream is not for me to rattle on. It's for you, the PATC community, the passionate college football fan. There was an injustice done today. Florida State got screwed. They got done wrong. Injustice served on an ESPN's silver platter. And that's the title of this live stream. Tell me that I'm wrong. You can. This is an open field here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. In the comment section with the phone calls, tell me I'm wrong. You'll be treated with the utmost respect. And I also want to apologize for the earlier show. I said a few things. I wish I could take a couple things. Wish I could have taken it back. But this is a sport I love. I love the fan bases, the sport across the country. It brings this country together. But a travesty was done today, in my opinion. Now let's hear your opinion. We're going to open up the phone lines immediately. Let me get to John Teal. FSU got taken for a ride down lonely road. B. So in the new format, 23 Liberty 13-0 would be in the playoffs over 12. Oklahoma, unbelievable. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with the new format. People disagree with me. But it's a lot better than what we got now. No question about it. Oklahoma, we'll get into that. But thank you, B, for the super chat. Thank you, John. Thank you, John, once again. ESPN did FSU like Shawn Michaels did. Marty Jannetty in the barbershop. FSU is now babyface. SEC is heel. Do you know who else is babyface? Do you know who went from heel to babyface today? Michigan. Michigan. Maybe I'll donate to the County Stallions. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. Let's get to your phone. I'm going to open up the phone lines here real quick. Let's get it open. Hold on. One more second here. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. The phone lines are open. This is for you guys. The phone lines are open. There is no monologue past what I just showed you. Public statements from the quarterback, athletic director.
Call from
PSU Nitwit.
PSU Nitwit, the floor is yours. What do you think?
Hey, great. Hey, man, I tell you what, I feel bad for those FSU players. Just somebody who's a fan base at Penn State. To see, like, if you go to the ESPN YouTube channel, it's all the teams celebrating that got in. They didn't show anything of at Florida State. I didn't see anything about the statement from Florida State. Like, I'm just in shock. Like as a college football fan, I'm looking at this as like, I don't understand. Like, I don't see how Florida State can't come out and say our grant of rights are over now. Your relationship with ESPN is just not sustainable anymore. As when it comes to our institution. Like, you cannot have a relationship with ESPN if they're going to make these types of decisions or influence the marketplace.
Yes.
The way they just did. So, as far as I'm concerned, Florida State's grant of rights is over today. Like, I mean, doesn't the ESPN control the ACC? And you can't tell me that it didn't do any harm to the institution today of Florida State? I've lived through this. People don't understand.
Yeah.
Penn State fans lived through this in 2016. We almost had the number one recruiting class going into the playoff. We had momentum. The team turned around. We won a Big Ten championship. Guess what happened? We didn't get in. And if you know the structure of this college football, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The 4 top teams that get in all the time are going to get all the recruits. They're going to get all the attention. They're going to get everything. So here again, harm has been done to an institution because they have not gotten into the playoff when they deserve to be in the playoff. So whether it's financial harm, whether it's harm to the brand, whether it's, in the marketplace, now you can say, well, why are you going to Florida State? Well, they can't get in the playoffs even when they go undefeated. That stuff's going to happen. So, like I said, Penn State fans lived this. You were a Big Ten conference championship. Granted, we weren't undefeated, but you led a team that we beat into the playoff, and they were more deserving. I don't want to relive it for everybody, but Penn State couldn't go where they were headed to because we just didn't get into the playoff that year. And they can sit there and say, well, a 2-team can't get into the playoff. You've let a undefeated Power 5 conference championship team out of the playoff. To me, that just shows to me that it's a scam. The whole thing's been a scam for the entire time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
No, go ahead. I completely agree with you.
You cannot look at what they just did and say this entire thing hasn't been a scam since we went to a 14 playoff. It's always been about backroom dealings, committees. You could go down the line. This team didn't get in. TCU didn't get in one year. Blah blah blah. Baylor didn't get in that was undefeated and a conference champion. Or you just get down the line. When basically it became a system that benefited the same minority teams over and over again. Because you get in, you get better recruits, you get in, you get more attention, your program grows. That's what it's become. I think what we need to do is take a retroactive look at what this has done to college football. Yeah. And it hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. And like I said, ESPN's behavior, thank God they had Booger McFarland. I don't know if you heard his comments, but
I can't imagine what he said.
Oh, he went off. And, you got to look at the clip. This is an injustice.
Oh, he did? Okay, here? Good for him. Good for him.
He did. He did it right on the show. And then Joey Galloway and them came back and say, and they go back to that thing that you keep bringing up. Tell me how you know for certain that Alabama's better than Florida State.
Yeah.
You cannot make that comparison.
Yeah.
So we're allowing Alabama to benefit because Georgia had 3 people hurt during the game, 3 key players. So now all of a sudden they're a better team. Like you said, they struggled with Arkansas. They lost to Texas at home. They almost lost to Auburn. You can't sit back here and justify really that win against Georgia last night when one of their top receivers hobbling around is going off the field 3 times. Their tight end wasn't the same. There was another key injury.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to call in. I can't believe this. You just said this is a dark day for college football. I said, as all the people that analyze college football and legalese, if I was Florida State, I'd just say the grant of rights it's over today.
Yeah.
As long as you have a relationship with ESPN, we can no longer be part of this contract. We can no longer be part of this ACC conference because the ESPN has done us irreparable harm and has damaged our institution. How can you not say that has happened today? So I'll let you go, Greg. I know you got more callers, but
you got it.
Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate it, PSU Nitwit. Thanks for the great call. I understand, man.
All right, take care.
It's like Kirk Herbstreit. Unfortunately, significant injuries impact teams as much as head-to-head matchups. Okay. Why would significant...
Call from
TH3.
Can you hold on just 1 second?
Yep.
Appreciate it. I got it up on the screen. Kirk Herbstreit. Unfortunately, significant injuries impact teams as much as head-to-head matchups. That's his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 words Kirk Herbstreit used in this tweet. What are you talking about? Significant injuries impact teams as much to head-to-head matchups? In what universe? If you have a significant injury, yes, you have less chance of winning the next game, but that does nothing to do. That's not as much impact as what just happened prior during the season. In what sport? It means as much as head-to-head. What planet do you live on? Unfortunately, significant injuries impact teams as much as head-to-head matchups and conference championships. What in God's name are you talking about? You can't ignore, this is Kirk Herbstreit, you can't ignore the impact of loss of Jordan Travis had on the Noles. It sucks, but a big part of the final evaluation. How can that... Oh, so I tweeted back, but we need to ignore Bama needed a 4th and 31 miracle against Auburn, who just lost to New Mexico State. What actually happened on the field instead of prognosticating. Here, I said I would not go off on this show, so I've already lied to you all. I apologize. I'm going to calm down. I got one more thing to say. And then TH3, you got the floor as long as you want it. This is a case. This is a case of people taking themselves too seriously. Take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Everybody thinks they're Mr. Prognosticator. Everybody thinks that's the most valuable piece in all this. Oh, somebody got injured, so therefore that team's not as good. Therefore, we should devalue that team and what they've accomplished. Oh, let me do my predictions. I'm Greg the Cooler. I get it all wrong. That's why I don't take myself too seriously. Kirk Herbstreit, you're a good guy. You and Reese and everybody else, but you take yourself way too seriously. The committee and all ya, come on, man. Don't be choosing who goes to the playoff based on Las Vegas prognostication. Go with what happened on the football field. That's an embarrassing tweet. I'm sorry. TH3, the floor is yours. Let it rock, baby.
Your passion, Brant, I don't know if that went far enough because that literally contradicts previous years of college football. So first off, I'm a Husker fan, right?
Yes.
Is he telling me 1994 Nebraska doesn't deserve a shot because Tommy Frazier went out for a few games?
Yeah.
And we needed Brooke Behringer, and we even had a third string at one point?
Yeah.
Is that what he's telling me?
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Better yet, what about 2014 Ohio State?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we just going to forget this?
I guess so.
And that's his alma mater, which is shameful on his part. Like, that is actually shameful that he said that. Because now he is admitting to, like, the whole nation that, honestly, I don't even know if you could count our teams because they didn't have Braxton Miller. They didn't have J.T. Barrett. They were stuck with Cardell Jones, which nobody had any faith in at the time. And if somebody says that they're lying. They're lying through their teeth. And they went on to win the national championship. Like, what is he talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about. I put it up on the screen again. Are we sure this is Kirk Herbstreit's Twitter account? Yes, it is. I mean, I don't know what's going on at ESPN. I don't know how Florida State can look at ESPN straight in the eye. I don't know how that's even possible.
I don't. We talk about, like, money being involved with college football, and it always has been. But to see it go here is just, like, taking away from the game. And we want to talk about, with, like, the clock change rules, how college football is trying to become more like the NFL. No. It's trying to become more like college basketball.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I love college basketball. I'm sure a lot of us do, but I love it for different reasons. It's like college basketball. You can look at a 5-loss team and say, yeah, they have 5 losses, but look who they've lost to and look at the talent on their team. They could beat about 80% of the teams in the country. You look at college football, anything happens on any Saturday, and you only got 12 games to choose from. So the fact that we're taking selection size and sample size and throwing it to the wayside for the sake of, well, the quote-unquote better team gets in it's disgusting. I don't really know how else to say it.
Yeah.
It's just, like, and people joke about, like, saying, well, I'm not going to watch the playoff after this. Like, I'm not. I personally will not. Michigan could beat Bama by 60. I wouldn't know because I'm not going to watch it. Just, like, I don't want to reward mediocrity. I really don't. Florida State did everything right all year.
Yeah.
They won every single game they were supposed to. And not only did they win, they handled most of their opponents even without Jordan Travis. Like, what are we talking about here? Just
I don't know.
It ticks me off because I love this game.
Yes.
But to see it go to this.
Yes.
And here's the thing. This is now, and I say this in a more loose term, this is now a cancer manifesting itself. Like, this is now, they have found a way to sneak a team in with, like, just by force, you know? So in 5 years, when the SEC says we need 5 teams in the 12-team playoff because we can't imagine only 4 of our teams getting in, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You've let them do it once, they're going to do it again. Like, it's just the fact that, and the thing is with ESPN is they're going to back the SEC narrative. This idea that there's no SEC bias is literally dead today, simply for the fact that ESPN is literally, I call it propaganda at this point. They're literally just pushing propaganda on their network because they need to convince as many people as they can on this.
Yeah.
But the fact that ESPN, they need the SEC. The SEC could survive on its own, but ESPN needs the SEC.
Yeah.
Joel Klatt a couple years ago said something that I thought was really profound, in that he pushed or advocated the college football playoff needs to be on more networks than just ESPN.
Yes.
And I think I need to bring that up now because I don't think I fully ever agreed with him until now. Because after seeing this, guys, this is what ESPN wants. This playoff right here is what ESPN wants. Because, you know, forget the game, forget the merit. Am I saying it'd be better under Fox? I'm not saying that, but at least you'd have a different voice in the opinion. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't. It's again, like I said before, like the previous stream, it's the darkest day in college football history. I don't.
Yeah.
You just undermined the entire regular season, and that Florida State defense I want to mention.
Yeah.
That's an elite force.
Yes.
Like that is the best defense I've probably seen since like 2010 Alabama or 2009 Nebraska. Like they turned Jaden Daniels into nothing.
Yes.
Louisville's a top 20 offense in the country, held them to 6 points. Like, what else did they need to do? Is it their fault they're in the ACC?
I don't know. Great points.
But, yeah. And the last point here, I know I've been rambling a bit, so I'll say one more point.
That's okay.
If I am North Carolina, if I am Clemson, if I am Florida State, I think really the only one who's there, like, might be committed to the ACC is NC State, because NC State's athletic director, I believe, is on the college football playoff committee.
Yeah.
That's there's going to be some drama behind closed doors with that.
Yes.
But if I'm one of those major schools, I'm getting out of the ACC now, because who's to say? Like, obviously they'll probably get one team into like a 12-team playoff, but like,
sure.
What if they're trying to get a second team?
Yeah.
What if they're trying to get a second team or even a third team? Like, you just told the ACC that they are on the same level as the American Athletic Conference.
Basically, yes. Yes, you did.
Because I don't know. They ruined the college sport today. It's like, I feel bad for all the student athletes of the ACC, especially Florida State, because they did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They did absolutely nothing wrong, and they're getting punished for it. All because, well, one injury might change it, but we don't actually know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
It's terrible.
I'm never going to be over the stages of grief with this one. I'm not going to be able to accept this.
Yeah.
And at any point, Bama could win the championship. I don't care.
Yeah.
I will not count them.
Yeah.
And if Florida State plays Georgia in the Orange Bowl, like a rumor says, I haven't been following that. I've been watching NFL. But if Georgia wins, or if Florida State wins their bowl game, play them a national championship.
Might as well.
Because why not? Why not? But thank you for Greg for the time.
You got it, buddy.
Head out of here.
Appreciate it. TH3 Cornhusker.
Call from
Phenomenal Hebrew.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I just want to get to some generous super chats here. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. As John Teal stated earlier, it wasn't a problem for Ohio State and their third-string quarterback. They went on to win the national championship in 2014. Thank you, Kay Struthers, for your 2 super chats. I appreciate your generosity to the channel. Appreciate you, John. The floor is yours. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Phenomenal Hebrew.
Got it. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I'm kind of bothered about these people saying this is the worst day in football history. Like, Florida State didn't deserve to be there. Okay, didn't deserve to be there. You actually see how they played last night. You actually think that team deserves to be in the college football playoff? You're crazy.
No. Go ahead.
They didn't deserve to be there. They played ugly last night. If it wasn't for Louisville and an incompetent quarterback, they would have lost last night. So I don't even know what these people are even talking about. Okay, they got the right team actually in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that was Alabama, Texas, Michigan, Washington. Those are the right teams that should be in the playoffs as it make up right now. So there's no problem with the 4 teams that's there. The only people that's crying about it is people that don't understand the process. They don't understand the process. And it has nothing to do with no ESPN playing politics. You're trying to get the 4 best teams. And these are the 4 best teams. Florida State isn't. And all you got to do is watch how they played last night.
Well,
that team could not beat. If you actually want a blowout, because if Florida State was to play Michigan, it would be your blowout. It would be your blowout. And you want nobody will watch the second half of that game. So if you put them in the playoff versus Michigan, you're going to watch a blowout. And to avoid a blowout, you keep them out because they didn't belong there in the first place. Period.
Okay, so Auburn lost to New Mexico State. And they got whooped by New Mexico State. A couple touchdowns. New Mexico State, Conference USA. Then the following week, it took a 4th down and 31 miracle for Alabama to beat Auburn. That performance against Auburn is worse than anything Florida State's done all year. Alabama's performance against Arkansas is worse than anything Florida State did all year. I would agree with you, caller. I could agree with you that Alabama is one of the 4 best teams in the country, but I didn't see it this year. I actually did not see it this year. They played bad many times this season. And Florida State did it with a 3rd-string quarterback last night. But their defense is so great, they shut down a very good Jeff Brom-led Louisville offense. If it wasn't clear, let me finish. I'll let you get back on. I'll let you have the floor again. If it was clear, if it was Alabama is one of the 4 best teams, if that was clear, I believe that most of the college football country would have seen it during the year, but we did not see that, with all due respect. Therefore, an undefeated Power 5 conference, Florida State, should have gotten the invitation. Go ahead. You have the floor.
What do you mean you didn't see it? They beat Georgia last night.
Okay, but you're talking. Wait a second. If you're going to talk about a resume of a team, if you're going to talk about the season that they played, then you got to talk about the whole season. You can't talk about one game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just went back and told you all the bad games that Alabama played this year. They only beat Auburn on a miracle, 4th and 31, just 8 days ago. An Auburn team that lost to a Conference USA team. That's terrible. That's worse than any performance Florida State has had all year. They beat Arkansas at home by 3 points. My beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers would beat Arkansas. That's a terrible performance. So if you're going to hammer Florida State's performance for last night against a 10-2 Louisville team, you got to hammer Alabama on their horrible performances a couple times this year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're still ranked over Florida State, because you can't tell me Florida State, that even with that defense they have, they will not be able to hold down Michigan.
They've got NFL for Jared Verse is one of the top 2-3 defensive ends in the country. They got one of the best linebackers in the country. They got one of the best. Come on, look. The thing is, for most of us, it's not clear that this Alabama team, not the last 10 years Alabama, this Alabama team, for most of us, wasn't clear-cut best 4 in the country. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. But it wasn't clear-cut. Therefore, an undefeated Michigan, undefeated Washington, undefeated Florida State, and a one-loss Texas that beat Alabama by 10 points in Tuscaloosa are all ahead of Alabama. That's where most of the country is.
No, that's your opinion.
Yeah, well, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah, that's your opinion, because there's no way can hit Florida State. Even with the defense you're talking about, they wouldn't be able to beat Michigan on the field that's not even both of those teams on a Peach Bowl or whatever bowl it is. They would not be able to beat Michigan like they beat Louisville. Okay, Louisville just had an incompetent quarterback. Period. They had an incompetent quarterback. That's why they beat him.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they actually beat them last night, because Louisville had an incompetent quarterback. If you actually watch the game was ugly. Half of the game was ugly.
Yeah, well, the part of the reason he looked incompetent is because you had an unbelievable defensive line of Florida State. And let me finish the call by saying this. you're saying that Alabama's definitely one of the 4 best teams, right? You say they should have the number 4 spot, right? We already know by results on the field that they got beat by the 3rd team in the country, Texas, by 10 points at home. So are we saying here today that the 3rd best team in the country is 13, 14, 15 points better than Alabama? Than the 4th place team? Again, Alabama's resume does not make it, for my opinion, a top 4 in the playoffs. I just don't see it anywhere.
And Florida State played last night. That don't make them a top 4
Florida
team.
State beat LSU. Florida State beat LSU. They beat Florida. They're 2-0 against the SEC. Florida State did everything on their schedule. They overcame injuries. They won all their games. And they would have plowed at Auburn. They would have crushed Auburn. They would have crushed Arkansas. So there's nothing there, in my opinion. I'll give you the last word.
Like I said before, the game last night is the evidence that Florida State didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. They should have, if they were so overpowering over Louisville, they should have manhandled Louisville. Louisville was incompetent last night because they didn't have a quarterback. A competent quarterback. That didn't even look like the same Louisville team that you seen the whole year. If Louisville would have played the same way they played against Kentucky, they would have beat Florida State. And that's my final comment.
You got it. Thank you, sir. Call again, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Call from
Ariel Judah.
All right. The floor is yours. Who's this calling? Hello. Hello. The floor is yours. No, I guess not. Phone lines is open. Oh.
Call from
JD.
Mr. Seminole. Can you hold on just 1 second? Because I want to give you as much time as you need. Can you just give me 1 second?
Sure.
Appreciate it. Patrick, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. Does this give Florida State leverage to get out of the ACC? JT will talk about that. I tell you what, though, it gives them all more gasoline, and the committee lit. They lit the match, and they threw it on the gas fire. I'll let JD talk about that. John Teal, George had key injuries. The caller's undermining his own arguments. That is true. That is absolutely true. George is banged up all over the place. How could Alabama only beat them by 3? Thank you for all the super chat, the support. JD, Mr. PAT Seminole, the floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. In response to your last caller talking about the game last night, the quarterback that was playing is not the quarterback that would have been going into the playoff for FSU. That would have been playing.
Yep.
Okay? That same quarterback that played last night had only got starters reps this year. He just recently got off the injured list because he had a broken hand. True freshman that had not taken really valuable snaps for most of the year. So they just had to ride with what they had for last night. Mm-hmm. That's not who they would have rode into the playoffs with. Okay?
Yep.
Yes, FSU's defense, I think, is stellar. The sad fact is maybe our best defensive lineman hadn't played yet this year, but now he's eligible to play after last night. Daryl Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep.
6'5", 340, just a grown-ass man.
Yep.
And he got caught up in the whole revised transfer rules. So I would have loved to have seen him. Yeah. You know, right up over center, right up over guard, and seen what kind of damage he could have done because, people can laugh. I wanted to play Michigan. I don't think Michigan's played maybe one decent team the entire year. I wanted to play Michigan. And if Rodemaker, and we can't prove this now, so this is just fan conversation, but if Rodemaker would have played his A game and FSU's defense would have played their A game, not only do I think we could have beat Michigan, I think we would have beat Michigan significantly. But we won't get a chance to prove that. Yeah. And the downside is I think some of the FSU future NFL guys that are looking to leave and go, opt out for the draft won't play in the bowl game. So I don't know that we'll beat Georgia. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe they decide to stay and play. But I started to call this morning and I just couldn't because I might get banned from your show. And just say I was beside myself is an understatement.
Yes.
If you've got a second, can you pull up Drew Weatherford on X? He's one of the BOT members, and he more or less made a few statements within about an hour or so ago that he's making it very clear it's hard for any program not in the Power 2.
Yeah.
Basically, anybody that's not in a Power 2 will be at a significant disadvantage moving forward.
Yep. I'm going to put up his tweets right now. This is Drew Weatherford. What this decision highlights most is that the Big Ten and the SEC are viewed as superior conferences. And if you aren't in one of those conferences, you are at a disadvantage. The ACC was 6-4 against the SEC this year. Florida State was 2-0, by the way. All the more reasons to consolidate into two super conferences. To not do so inherently makes not being in the SEC or the Big Ten a problem. The SEC and the Big Ten already have a $500 million financial advantage against the ACC over the next 10 years. And now we are setting a precedent that even a one-loss SEC team is better than an undefeated team from any other conference. This flies in the face of what competition is all about. This is going to even propel Florida State. Not that they needed any more energy, any more juice, any more gasoline. And, JD, I think the chances of Florida State now going to the SEC, it's diminished greatly, JD, greatly, because relationships matter in realignment. And after this, after what you said last night, JD, and after what you've been saying for a while, JD, this ESPN, man, I'm not saying it was coordinated by all the talking heads and all that, because I don't think they're bright enough to coordinate all this, but they were, you know how it is. You're in an office, you know where the ESPN butter, you know what bread it butters, you know the influence, the power, all that internal power structure that the SEC has. This was, the FSU did not get stabbed in the back. FSU got stabbed in the front. And that is what has to, I got to watch my language. That is what Florida State has to be most upset about.
You go back to the Duke game where FSU was a little sloppy in the first half, gave Duke 10 points, okay? And then, again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. FSU, they would throw some of their young guys on defense into the fire. They'd have freshmen out there in the first or second quarter, and Duke got a couple of those runs off the edge because, a backer took a bad angle or a young defensive lineman. didn't hold the edge. Just a few of those things. Things that didn't happen last night happened at different points throughout the year, and it kind of skewed the statistics a little bit. But Norvell always believed in his offense. He knew he would give up a cheap explosive play here or there, or give up a cheap touchdown here or there, but the offense would bail him out. Jordan Travis would bail you out.
Yep.
So he would rather get the experience in for these young guys if he needed them later in the year. Okay? Ironically, the only position that they didn't get a lot of extra experience was quarterback. But every other position on the field was getting loads of experience from the young guys in at crucial moments. But anyway, going back to that, at the end of that game, Herbstreit was talking about potential playoff, and he's like, nah, you'd have a hard time keeping FSU out because that LSU win, they have that in their back pocket. He's like that. And I'm telling you, man, it was just a couple of weeks later. It was a 180 for Herbstreit and multiple ESPN talking heads. Reese Davis talked up FSU all year, but I mean, it was the same week. It was the same week they all changed. And I'm telling you, and I know I put this on Twitter, a little over a month ago, it would be a month ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, the talking points came down. I don't know if it came from the SEC to ESPN or in conversations between the SEC and ESPN, that if there's a one-loss SEC champion, they're not getting left out of the playoff, and it doesn't matter who it is. And we've been getting rumors on the FSU side that there's kind of a deal in principle to potentially go to the Big Ten, or just a wink and a nod that it's a done deal, And I'm telling you, all those things line up. They either that or they just decided they're not going to protect they're going to protect the SEC at all costs, and then maybe FSU acknowledged to the rest of them, no, we're not coming to the SEC. I don't know. It's just there's no coincidences when it all happens at one time. And I was looking at something earlier online here. I don't remember what it was on the message boards or if it was on Twitter. But the way that everything stacked up, even if Jordan Travis hadn't gotten hurt, I think they still would have tried to keep us out.
Yeah.
They still would have. They still would have. The narrative about Jordan Travis getting injured was convenient for them. It worked. I mean, Greg McElroy, as of a week ago, was like, you cannot leave FSU out. You cannot leave it. He's flipped.
Yeah.
There's several people have flipped. And I'm sorry. I mean, are we at peak? Would we be favored in any of these games? Probably not. But you got to give us a fighting chance because we earned it.
Yeah.
But I have to be careful the way I say this because it'll sound like unreasonable fan.
Yeah.
I don't think lawsuits not trying to get into the playoff. I don't think it's unreasonable that a lawsuit gets filed. There's a chance it might.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily it's not going to change the playoff. It's not going to have that. It has to do with ESPN acting in bad faith.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And actually now some of the politicians, I saw Rick Scott. Now Rick Scott's up for re-election, but I saw Rick Scott and DeSantis and Jimmy Petronis, some of the other ones they're demanding answers.
Yeah.
They're demanding answers now. And it's fixing to be an election year. So it just depends. Do they have more pull than some of the other ones? I don't know. Some of those Alabama politicians are pretty powerful in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to change the playoffs, but
that's done. That's done. I mean, that's not going to change anything. But it's just that I could say this now. I don't want the SEC now. I don't want it.
I don't see how. I think, I don't know how. Whew. Now, we are here at Peek Around the Corner. We do have our Florida State Money Perch guy. We have been in communication with them. We're going to talk to them tonight again. So we are going to have an updated story about all that, hopefully by Monday. So keep your head on a swivel. We'll update everybody on what he says. First blush on what he said, because he's already talked to us. Yeah, I mean, Florida State is, well, you can imagine. I mean, they, again, it gets back to what is Florida State risking now? What are they actually risking by going forward and giving their notice of withdrawal to the ACC? Because so much has been taken away from FSU. They were just devalued here, right? They were just devalued on no fault of their own. They were devalued. The whole ACC was devalued. But Florida State, mighty Florida State, incredible brand, 13-0, and they were taken out by the legs. And who are they going to look to? They can't just look at the 12-team committee. They're going to be looking at ESPN. So the chances of FSU going to the SEC is greatly diminished. JD, I'm going to let you have the last word here. We got a lot of callers. Let you have the last word.
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know who the money perch is, but I know that some of the big money people definitely wanted the SEC. They're not the ones that are calling the shots on this.
Yeah.
And I saw where a couple of insiders were labeling who would be the ones calling the shots, and those individuals that would want the Big Ten would significantly outrank the other ones.
Okay.
And again, I'm not so certain that I think some bridges were possibly burned today.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to go with this. ESPN and the SEC thinks this is going to blow over shortly. No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is going to linger for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's going to get kind of ugly here pretty soon, I have a feeling.
It is.
And,
All right,
and
thank you, JD. Appreciate it, man.
Right,
Seminole, keep your chin up.
Have a good evening.
You
Thanks.
got it, buddy.
Call from
Ryan.
Ryan, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. What do you got to say?
Hi, Greg. Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Hey, I just wanted to say I wasn't shocked by this. I mean, ESPN, I mean, you can't say they didn't have anything to do with it because they telegraphed it.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, this narrative did start building of, would a more deserving one-loss team get in over Florida State? So, I mean, I wasn't shocked by this, and I'm going to be honest, I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw the 4 teams, because I genuinely was worried that both Alabama and Georgia would have got it. I honestly wouldn't have been shocked if that was the end result, is that we ended up with both Alabama and Georgia both getting in. So, I mean, in that way, I was like, okay, well, at least they only pushed one team in. But, yeah, definitely not fair that an undefeated team gets snubbed. And but yeah, no, I have to say, it would have been easier if I was actually kind of hoping, I hope all the undefeated teams just win, get us out of this, and, 12 team. But, that's not what happened, and unfortunately for Florida State. But I definitely was telling my friend leading into this, because they're like, yeah, if Alabama beats them, we were both like, yeah, Florida State's getting left out. That's probably going to happen. And then my next thing was is there a lawsuit that follows? If I'm Florida State, do I take this lying down, or do I say, hey, no, we're suing and we have a justification because, we're undefeated, they're not. and it is easy to be like, oh, who's better? Like, there's nuance into that, right? Like, but if you win all your games, it should mean something. But feel bad for them, but not really surprised by the outcome, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, you said early in the call that you saw this coming a couple weeks ago. Other people have said that, and I guess I was like the only naive person because I kept saying, come on. An undefeated Florida State, they're in. So how stupid am I, Ryan? I did not think they would pull this. And
I only like, I wouldn't have like come up with that on my own. It was ESPN stories that were written about it and listening to commentators. Like, they were talking about this before it happened, right? Like, there was the narrative building of, would a one-loss team be more deserving than an undefeated Florida State? And it all came down to, if Alabama knocked off Georgia, that's what it was about. Like, that's why they put that narrative out there, because they knew there's a real chance that outcome was possible, right? And so they were just kind of hedging their bets. But that's why, like, I wouldn't have come up with that on my own. It was ESPN was planting that a couple weeks ago, and so that's why I saw it coming. The narrative, and that's why, like, if anybody wants to say, oh well, ESPN doesn't really have a hand in that, you can't deny that. Like, if you're setting the stage for something a couple weeks because you want to build that narrative in case you need it, and Alabama made them need it, right? Like, Georgia wins, this never would have happened, right? Like, they don't have to, find a justification to get one of those two teams in. And so, but like I said, like, I'm glad that at least we lucked out in them not trying to force two SEC teams on us, but, because that could easily have happened. We could be sitting here with an even bigger controversy than you're now discussing.
Yeah. All righty, Ryan. I appreciate the call,
that's
sir.
all I got. So.
Thank you, sir. Great call.
Good. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, let me get through some super chats. PNW Ute. FSU got tomahawked in the front. Yeah, when I said stabbed in the front, they got tomahawked in the front. Fake Tom Osborne, wait a minute, just saw Nebraska didn't make the college football playoffs. What kind of shenanery is this always next year, GBR? Go Big Red. Jimmy Touchdown, I'll do a better job and declining the call so I won't get the beep. That's the only way I can do it. I apologize, Jimmy Touchdown. Thank you for the super chat. I'll try to do better. John Teal, what happens if those ACC teams click up and all go to the Big Ten? No meat left on the bone for SEC. Well, we'll see what happens. Look, I find it very difficult for the SEC not to be able to eat first at the ACC table if something happens before 2036. Something is going to happen before 2036. But I find it almost impossible now for Florida State to to enter into the SEC. Relationships are very important in realignment. So, man, I think the chances of Florida State becoming an SEC school has diminished greatly. We're going to talk more of that. I'm expected to be in a conversation later tonight. We've already had a conversation earlier. I'm going to have some new information. I'm going to first probably pop it up on the early peak episodes for the early peak members and then do live later tomorrow. But yes, we do.
Call from
John.
John, can you hold on 1 second, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Ted Evans, thank you for the super chat. Don't know if you saw the first game day this year. The whole panel picked Bama to make the playoffs. You know, how do I say this? Bama's a great team. Just don't think they should have been in the 4 playoff teams. I don't think anybody. I don't think any of those ESPN talking heads are coordinating this. I don't think they're consciously going, Bama's got to make it. Bama's got to make it, or we don't get our check in the mail. Of course they're going to get paid. Of course ESPN's going to be a powerhouse, even if SEC teams don't make the playoffs. SEC is going to be still the best conference in the country. Yada yada yada. But I do think it's an internal push. They're all sitting there. They know where their bread is buttered. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that Bama gets into the playoffs. That is my strongly held opinion. John, thanks for calling. The floor is yours. Thank you, Ted, for the super chat.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, look, what I have a problem with is that the rules from the committee is kind of ambiguous. You really can't tell where it's going. It's like either you're the most deserving team or you're the best team, or it's a combination of both. And then I also heard on another podcast this morning, it was if the coach is in trouble or the players are out hurt. I'm not really sure what the main criteria is for even getting into the playoff now. If you could give me some enlightenment on that, I'd appreciate it. And Liberty's undefeated. I mean, if we're going to go down that road, every undefeated team should be in there. Thank you for taking my call.
You got it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. You make a great comment. You know, it's a great point. It's a good point against Florida State because, look, an undefeated champion, if you're saying an undefeated conference champion should get automatically in the playoffs, why isn't Liberty in there? Great point. There is a drastic difference in strength of schedule. Liberty's strength of schedule, it's been posted everywhere. It's really low, obviously. No fault of their own, but that's just the way it is. Florida State beat Florida, beat LSU on the road. Florida State had a strong enough schedule to where they're not Liberty. So,
Call from
Jamie Thornton.
Yeah, Jamie Thornton, can you hold on 1 second? I just want to finish this great question by the previous caller.
Absolutely, Greg.
Thank you, appreciate it. Now, the criteria, yes, I can't give you I can't really give you a good answer. We were told when this thing started, 2012? No, 2014, I'm sorry. It was created a year before, 2013, whatever. That it was, the top criterias were, conference, if you win a conference championship, that would help you. Strength of schedule, that would help you. Head-to-head, that would help you. And who is this best team? It's not really laid out. It's ambiguous. It's not really clear on the criteria of how they select it. All I know is this is the first autonomy power conference undefeated team that did not get an invitation for the 4-team invitational, and they did it, and they went 2-0 against the SEC. I don't quite understand it, but Jamie, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Greg, it's an honor to call you for the first time. And as Greg the Cooler, I know you're famous or known the famous phrase, when hell freezes over. I think
Yes.
hell just froze over. Literally. I think there's several things that's really interesting. I mean, obviously you can make a case for the top 6 schools, right? I mean, let's not forget about Georgia here, who's won back-to-back championships. They've won, 29 in a row.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is, all these different tiebreaker scenarios and things they mentioned, I think everybody pretty much would agree that wins and losses mean the most. I always thought it meant the most. Yeah. That was until I started hearing the narrative that was going around when they were interviewing these committee members and people close to the committee members that started talking about the eyeball test, and we're watching the conference championship games, and that seems to mean the most. And that's why I was worried last night. I said, the way FSU and the way they keep talking about it, and it's about all that Jesse Palmer kept talking about during the FSU Louisville game last night.
Yeah.
Something was up. Something was up right there. And it's really interesting that there's 14 people on this committee, I think it is, 14, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just one guy or two guys that said, we're SEC homers, and it really is interesting to think about that the majority of 14 people agree that these should be the 14. So
yeah. Now you make a great comment, Jamie. So you were listening to Jesse Palmer last night. I think you're like the 7th person who's told me this. Now, when I'm doing a watch party, I cannot have the volume on. I don't know what anybody's saying. So you sort of lost. I'm stuck in my bubble. People kept talking about that during the game last night. And of course, I'm screaming at the top of my head, are you guys crazy? Florida State's not going to be left out. And of course, you guys knew better. You knew better as well.
You even posted my comment about it last night.
Yes,
and people thought I was crazy. I think one guy got ticked off and blocked me.
Jamie, I apologize.
Oh, it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. It's just nothing to be. And you don't need to apologize for the earlier show. It's emotion. That's what this is all about.
You all in the PATC community, you all were picking up on this. You were picking up on this. Here I am being Mr. Naive, thinking that Florida State won't get shafted. You guys kept warning me. You kept warning me. And I wasn't listening. I was caught in my bubble.
Well, I will leave you with this, Greg.
Yes.
On top of everything, my wife is a diehard, born and raised Washington Husky fan. So you just heard her in the background. So she's happy. And I am really impressed with the season they have. And I am an Arkansas grad fan, born and raised. So look, I get it. I'm an SEC person as far as with my school affiliation. But do I think that Alabama deserved it over FSU? No, I don't. I mean, if you looked and didn't know the games when they were played, and you look at their resume, technically I could make a case for Georgia over Alabama. I know that the game was just this last week, but I'm just saying, Georgia was back-to-back national champs. They'd won 29 in a row.
Yes.
They really got kind of shafted with that call at the end of the first half, which we can always talk about calls and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I just don't see how you put. You can do all these different eye tests, and the top 6 teams deserve a chance to play. And thank God we have the 12-team playoff next year. But there is no way, in my opinion, you can ever put a one-loss team in over a no-loss team.
Yeah.
Not on this level. Now, if it was a G5 school, maybe, but not on this level.
Yeah. Two comments, Jamie. One is, has your wife, has she ever heard me sing "Bow Down to Washington"? The fight song?
Oh, I tried to. Yeah, I was called her last night on my phone when you started singing it.
Okay.
Did you hear?
I heard it last night.
Okay. How did I do? Did I do okay?
Yes, you did.
Okay, because I got a Minnesota accent, fat guy from Minnesota. I did the best I could. Number 2 comment for you, Jamie, before we let you go is Drake Lindsay, high schooler out of the state of Arkansas. Their high school team just won the state championship it was yesterday. Bobby Petrino, Pittman was at the game. But his family, the Lindsay family, say they're still committed to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Do you know anything about Drake Lindsay?
As far as the decision goes for possibly changing that, I do not. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay.
I haven't heard. Everything's so new. I know KJ is entering the portal, the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you a sign right there that something's up, because this didn't happen until after Petrino was named the new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I really believe, he's a different style of offense. than what KJ would be a part of, and I think that you're going to see Arkansas go back to that. I think essentially, I think Sam Pittman is going to be one of those guys that he's head coach by name or by title.
Yes, you could be right. Jamie, beautiful
everybody
call.
in Arkansas loves Petrino. And what's crazy about it is he really doesn't have a super great record, but I mean, you can't blame him for the first year there when he was trying to rebuild. But I mean, hey, Arkansas, like Minnesota, we share the Lou Holtz, and we don't have the greatest. We don't have the greatest success. So when you have a little bit, when you smell that, and you can compete with the big boys like Petrino did. I get the Arkansas fans after the last 10 years of total misery. I'm not going to call it FSU misery, but it's it's pretty bad.
I understand. Jamie, beautiful call. Please call again, okay?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll leave you with this too, Greg. I want to say, because I actually live in Memphis, so I've been here for a while now. So I know Mike Norvell, and got to meet him or be around him when he was with the Tigers. And great guy. I feel bad for him and his kids today because they worked so hard. And I just want to make this last quick argument if I could.
Yeah.
If you want to use the argument about their offense being terrible, which I get it. Look, the third-string quarterback, that's going to happen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You also have to make the argument about just how great their defense is, I think. And as poor as that offense, that defense has been so good, so amazing. I mean, Louisville averages 30 a game. So I it's not like they were playing someone that just has a pathetic offense last night.
Yeah.
Just another point, but, I mean, it doesn't really matter now. I know, I get it. And thankfully, we don't have to deal with this anymore. The 12-team playoff will begin next year. So go Huskies.
You got it.
That's my wife said. And best of luck to everyone, and my best wishes to FSU and their fans. We'll be watching the Holy Smokes Theater to see, because I think one quick thing on that, too. I think that this has got the attention of those other Magnificent Seven schools. You have to be in the Big Ten or the SEC the way things are going. I just really feel that way.
If you can get in there, if you have the ability to get in there, you should do everything you can to get in there. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jamie,
well, you have a great day, Greg.
You too. Appreciate it. Great call. Fantastic call.
Thank you.
What a fantastic call. Holy smokes. Jamie bringing the heat.
Call from
KV.
KV, the floor is yours. What do you got to say?
Press 1. To send a voicemail,
Well,
press
I'm
2.
sorry. The floor is yours, KV.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. Well enough. I'm not a Florida State guy, but I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard anybody bring up the fact that if Georgia would have beat Alabama last night, that Florida State probably would have still been out. When 4 undefeated teams could have been in there, it seems like Texas was anointed to be in regardless, and I just find that hilarious that no one's mentioned that fact.
That is a great comment. A great comment. Wow. That is something to think about, isn't it?
It's almost like it's predetermined. We could probably guess the 10 of the playoff teams next year and then 2 wild cards. So it's just moving towards more conspiracy and less on the field stuff.
Yeah. No, that is a great comment. If Georgia would have won, Texas would have been number 4. And Washington 3, Michigan 2, Georgia 1. Correct? Is that how you see it?
Probably Georgia would have been 1, but who knows? They could have put Michigan there, to see a better matchups.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, what a great comment. Man, the PATC community is on fire today. Wow. Anything else, sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm happy with the Willie Fritz hire, and I wanted to shout out to my boy Elaine.
Oh, Elaine. Oh, he's your boy?
Yeah.
Elaine Tran.
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. Beautiful. Mr. Tran, man. Yeah, Willie Fritz. Now, 2 years ago, I said Willie's not leaving Tulane. That's his last stop. Last year, I said the same thing. Last month, I said the same thing. So I went 0 for 3 on Willie Fritz. He is going to Houston. That's a great, great hire for the Cougars.
I'm going to let you have all the space you need to take some calls, sir.
You got it. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Great call. Great call. All righty. We got a lot of stuff going on here. I am trying to keep up. I'm going to play Kirk Herbstreit comment on his Twitter account, so I can go ahead and play it. Not going to get in trouble. Hopefully the volume is good enough for you all.
And win a conference championship.
Here we go. I'm going to play.
The big selection day. I know there are a lot of people really excited about the teams that were announced, and there are others that are very frustrated, and I totally understand it. You take a team like Florida State, who had just a magical year, a year to be remembered for forever by their fans. Anytime you go 12-0 in the regular season and win a conference championship to go 13-0, of course you feel you deserve to have your chance.
Hello, who's the caller?
Stacy.
Stacy, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I'm a first-time listener and first-time caller.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening.
Not a problem. I called in just to hit a couple of points. I am a lifelong Georgia Bulldog fan, have been since 1971.
Ooh.
But I am not an SEC homer. And I will tell you this. I do not believe that the way Georgia has played this year, and yes, everybody has injuries.
Yeah.
But they have not been the same team they have been the last 2 years because of everybody went to the NFL and all of this good stuff in the transfer portal. So they look beatable in several games all year. I'm not a delusional dog fan like some are out there. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I cannot tell you how many times Alabama has gotten the benefit of the doubt 9 times out of 10 when it comes to getting into the playoffs. And that goes all the way back to the BCS era. And I am so sick and tired of everybody kissing Nick Saban's butt because, oh my gosh, he's on the verge of beating Bear Bryant, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. He can beat Bear Bryant. To me, I was raised with my granny, Bobby Bowden, Bear Bryant. They will still always be the GOATs to me. I don't care what Nick Saban does. He is a great coach.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
But FSU, for the longest time, was my number 2 favorite team. That is, and I will say this, that is until what the administration did back in 2009 to the great Bobby Bowden. I will never forgive them for that, ever.
Okay.
And I know everybody's gone from that, including Dumbo Fisher. And I'm glad he got fired. I mean, giving him $110 million to go to Texas A&M to what?
Yeah.
Go 5-7?
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, with all that resources. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I was pulling for you guys to get in. When we lost last night, I said, I'm at peace with Georgia not getting in because they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But I said it should be, and again, with a caveat with Michigan, because we all know the NCAA is going to come in and take their sweet time. But they were going to prove that Jim Harbaugh knew all along that they had been cheating and stealing signs, and they're going to vacate whatever wins that is coming their way.
Yeah.
But in the future, for right now anyway, I would have had Michigan, Washington, FSU, and then I would have slid Texas in because head-to-head matters.
Yes.
Texas went into Bryant-Denny Stadium and beat Alabama by 2 scores.
Yeah.
And nobody has done that in 4 years to Nick Saban, to go into his house and beat him. So you can't tell me that playing games matter. Otherwise, why do you play the game?
Yes. Yep.
I'm sick about it because you guys, in my opinion, and again, remember, I'm a lifelong Georgia fan.
Yep.
You guys deserve to be in, and so does Texas. But Alabama, no.
Couple of things. Couple things, Stacy.
Yes.
One is you say you guys. I'm not a Florida State Seminole. I'm a Minnesota Golden Gopher. I do a national. I do a national college football YouTube channel. We've been around for a couple years. We were the ones that broke the story that USC was going to the Big Ten. The Los Angeles Times did an article on us. I try to do a national story. I get emotional when we call it like we see it, and we think Florida State was handling justice. That's number one. Number two is if this was a 12-team playoff this year, I understand what you're saying that Georgia, because they've lost so much talent to the NFL the last couple of years, they've slipped just a little bit. Alabama slipped just a little bit. If this was a 12-team playoff, Georgia and Alabama would still be threats to win it all this year.
True. I grant you that.
Yeah.
But not in a top 4 scenario.
I agree with you on that. Yes.
Not in a top 4 scenario.
Yes, ma'am.
And I got to be honest with you. I cannot stand Michigan. I can't stand him. The only reason is because I don't like Jim Harbaugh. He's been trying to leave the university who he played for and claims to love for 4 years now? He's been flirting with the NFL. He's just waiting to get the Chicago coaching job. That's my opinion. So he's gone, and he knows he's going to get his university tagged big time. I mean, he's gotten them in so much trouble. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
But I just feel for FSU because, again, why play the game if it's not going to matter at the end of the day? That just makes no sense. What they should do is hold an emergency type hearing, because you heard that kicked around, I think, the last several days, if this scenario played out. Mm-hmm. What they should do is try to get an injunction. I realize it's short notice, but things have happened in the past. They should try to get an injunction and say, hey, for some reason it fell apart, but they were trying to get the 12-team playoff this year. But because Oregon and Washington got poached, they pushed that back and it fell apart. That's the playoff committee's fault. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yes,
Paul
ma'am.
Feinbaum said today it fell apart for that very reason.
Yeah.
And he said the other reason FSU didn't get in his opinion, now this is Paul Feinbaum.
Yep.
He said, and he was talking to Matt DeBerry today about this. I watched it. And he said it was because FSU made such a big fuss, Mike Norvell did, saying that they were better than the ACC, and they basically dogged the SEC trying to get, the ACC trying to get out of there, that it rubbed some people the wrong way. And he said he's got inside close information on that. And that's another reason FSU got left out. Now, if that's true, that's criminal. You have got to be objective in this. And again, I can be objective. I'm a dog fan. We don't belong in there this year.
Yeah.
So if I, as a lifelong diehard fan, can say that, why can't this committee suck it up? Because half of them or more, it was found out, they are all some way, shape, or form connected to the SEC. Why do the wrong thing to kiss Alabama's butt, who everybody just wants to just go ahead and hand them the crown? I don't understand that. Let him play the game. I'm sorry the young man got hurt. He doesn't make the whole roster. I'm sorry. Isn't there 12 other guys, 12 total guys who plays a team?
Yep.
Anything can happen at any given time on any given day on any given field. Who knows what FSU would have been able to do, but we won't know. I'm saying it's unrealistic, but somehow if FSU is going to try and contest this and sue, get an injunction. Push an emergency. Go for the top 6 teams, top 8 teams, or go for the 12 now. What do you got to lose? At least at the end of the day, you can say it's fair then, because FSU is being robbed.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
I agree, Stacy. Thank you so very much.
And I know you got other callers, and I'm sorry.
I appreciate your call. I want you to call again.
I'm a passionate fan.
Yes, I want you to call again. Please subscribe to the channel. Call again. I appreciate it, Stacy.
Hey, and good luck in the future to your Golden Gophers.
We're gonna need
for all my fellow dog fans out there. Hey, there's always next year, and go Dogs.
And for us Gopher fans, there's always 70 years from now. Thank you so very much, Stacey.
Hey, you were the last team to three-peat, so.
Yeah, 1934, 35, 36. Thanks, Stacy.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
go
it.
Dogs.
Yeah. Wow, great call by Stacy. Holy smokes. She was bringing honesty. She was bringing the heat. Thank you, Stacy, so very much. Please call again, Stacy. Fake Tom Osborne. I got to get to some super chats real quick here. 5-7 hits different. The 5-7 Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to be playing Bowling Green in the Quick Lane Bowl. The Gophers, the only 5-7 bowl team. Awesome Lawson Clips channel support. Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Awesome Lawson Clips. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. Thank you so very much. Before we get to more phone calls, before we get to more stuff going on Twitter, I'm not going to play the Kirk Herbstreit. I think you all know what he said. Just to give you, some of you are coming in for the first time in a couple of weeks. We just started college football's early peak episodes, membership only, where we drop the initial information and then we cover it later in the live shows. We're going to be doing also stadium renovations, recruiting, a little bit of information, Cloak and Dagger, early peak membership, one level, $5.99 a month. If you're interested, hit the join button, college football's early peak. Incredible phone calls. The line is now open. 763-260-1333. The line is open. Let's get back to PATC Community's comments. 5-star caller. I absolutely agree. Stacy was absolutely brilliant. Unbelievable. The MVPs are all out tonight. You love to see it. Absolutely. Jamie and Stacy. And the other gentleman, I forget his name. Alan's father. Unbelievable. My Tigers are taking on the Evil Badgers. I know you're pulling for us. Of course I am. LSU versus Wisconsin. LSU all day, every day. Go SEC over the Big Ten in that game. You better believe it. And of course, the phenomenal Hebrew don't agree with my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. And of course, you know what's going to happen here? I'm going to have to learn and sing the Michigan's fight song, Hail to the Victor. the Michigan Wolverine fan base has been so upset with me because I've called it straight when it came to that scandal, and it is a scandal. But now suddenly I'm going to be on Michigan's side against Alabama. So that's going to be interesting for the next few weeks. Phone lines are open, 763-260-133. I know, Steve. Bearcat Steve, you know what happened the last time Minnesota played Bowling Green? Gophers were favored by 31-32, and they lost. They're not going to be favored by 31 or 32 in this game. No, they're not. The back seven on the defensive side is a lot of true freshmen are going to be playing in that bowl game. So hopefully Fleck is 4-0. Fleck is 4-0 in bowl games. That's the Minnesota Golden Gopher head coach, including a victory over Auburn in a January 1st game, a victory over Georgia Tech, a victory over West Virginia. Let's see if we can get a win over the MAC school. It was a tough year for Minnesota. The reason I brought up Drake Lindsey to Jamie Thornton is Drake Lindsey, really good high school quarterback out of the state of Arkansas. They just won the high school championship game. Bobby Petrino, Pittman, they were in the stands. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Bobby Petrino was. But according to Drake Lindsey's father, Pittman and Petrino, on Twitter, he was saying they were making a last effort trying to get Drake Lindsey, the quarterback, away from Minnesota. But it sounds like Drake Lindsey is fully committed to Minnesota. We need help. He's going to be a true freshman, so he's not going to really play next year. But the quarterback room is wide open at Minnesota. So if anybody in the chat can complete a forward pass, come to Minnesota. If you got any eligibility remaining, come to the University of Minnesota. Steven, Connor Stallions, SEC bias. Oh, man. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a lot of drama. Let's check. The phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. I'm going to go back here. I'm getting a lot of information. I'm not really sure. Is Oregon versus Liberty? Oregon versus Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. Boo Corrigan, who's on the committee, said SMU losing its starting quarterback Preston Stone did not play a factor in them missing out on the New Year's Six. So SMU losing their quarterback did not play a factor. FSU losing their number 1 and number 2 quarterback did play a factor. Not a whole lot of consistent logic being played. There it is. There is the game. The mighty Minnesota Golden Gophers 5-7 versus Bowling Green in the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, Michigan, December 22nd, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Let's see if we got any more announcements here. Ole Miss versus Penn State. Ole Miss versus Penn State. New Year's Six Bowl. The Peach Bowl. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Lane Kiffin. Franklin. LSU will meet Wisconsin in the ReliaQuest Bowl on New Year's Day in Tampa. Trying to get you the bowl games here. This is interesting. Very interesting. This is only 8 minutes ago. 8 minutes ago, Brett McMurphy, the ACC still hasn't held conference call with bowl partners. Sources told Action Networks teams available: Notre Dame, North Carolina State, Louisville, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia Tech. Bowls with openings: Pop-Tarts, Gator, Holiday, Duke's Mayo, Pinstripe, and Sun Military. The Pinstripe Bowl has a Big Ten buy-in. I'm not sure who the Big Ten representative is going to be. The ACC hasn't figured out quite who is going where in the conference. Back to your comments. Just trying to keep you updated on what is happening throughout college football. Lord Simply. So FSU is snubbed for a hurt quarterback, but Boo then says SMU losing its starting quarterback doesn't affect New Year's bowl placement. That's exactly what he said. It doesn't make any sense. What is going on? I do not know what's going on, Lord Simply. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know what is going on. It's Armageddon Sunday. Armageddon. Oh, Becky, go Huskies. I'm just going to say this. Penix and those wide receivers inside a dome against the 95th ranked passing defense. Get your popcorn ready. Oh my God. Becky, go Huskies. Starting to throw elbows. Holy smokes. We got the number 1 Michigan Wolverines versus Alabama. Number 2, the Washington Huskies versus number 3, Texas. Bow down to Washington. Bow down to Washington. Hagen, oh, you know it. Wow, the elbows are already being thrown here. Pinstripe will be Rutgers. Thank you, Sheep in Wolf's Clothing. Allen says, look, Alabama's going to beat Michigan. Alabama's going to beat Michigan. Yep, I just covered that with Brett McMurphy. ACC still hasn't figured out who's going where. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that's a... I don't know. I don't know if that's a boycott or what's going on. This is what Jim Harbaugh said. Jim Harbaugh, on the video of Michigan's perceived disappointment in playing Alabama, we're thrilled to be where we're at. Thrilled to be playing Alabama, to be playing in the Rose Bowl because it's going to be competition. That's what this team lives for. That is Jim Harbaugh. Nick Saban. We won 10 or 11 games in a row. We beat the number 1 team in the country. We're not the same team as we were when we played Texas early in the season. Are you the same team that needed a 4th and 31 8 days ago to beat Auburn? That's my question. That's my question, Coach Saban. 8 days ago, you needed a 4th and 31 to defeat Auburn. And Auburn that lost to New Mexico State 7 days before that. But it did not hurt Alabama, did it? For some reason, that performance did not hurt Alabama. McCarthy has to be better to beat Alabama. 1 TD, 1 interception his last 4 games combined. That won't cut it. I agree, Becky, except he was really good in that Buckeye game. Previous to that, I thought he was slipping. And he played against it. And Iowa's secondary is absolutely legit. That defense is spectacular. J.J. McCarthy, if he plays against Alabama the way he played against the Buckeyes, Michigan's going to be in good shape. I think Michigan's going to beat Alabama. And it's not Big Ten bias. And it's not because Florida State got screwed. I think Michigan's going to win the whole thing. Greg the Cooler said last night I believe that Michigan's going to win the whole thing. So Michigan's going to have to overcome my horrific record once again in picking games against the spread. But Michigan is legit. Washington's legit. They're all legit. I don't think Florida State is boycotting because I believe the head coach already. It was either the head coach or the athletic director that already said the next game, whatever. I don't believe Florida State is boycotting. I don't know if they've officially accepted the invite, but somebody in a leadership position at Florida State said it publicly. Now we're on to the next game. It's our next challenge, our next mission, something like that. Do you think Florida State getting screwed will change their conference landing spot? It's a very emotional Sunday, Lee. I think it diminishes greatly the chances of Florida State ever becoming an SEC team. Does it eliminate the chance? No. It greatly diminishes it because part of realignment, one of the ingredients in realignment is relationships. There's no denying that. There are other things that are more important. Dollar and cents, exposure, commonality with the schools within your conference. There's a whole bunch of things that play a part of it. Politics, everything. But relationships is extremely important. And the relationship between ESPN and Florida State was ice cold as it was. That's why in the Holy Smokes Theater we said, because of the chatter, we hear behind the curtain, the SEC commissioner came running in there in early October in our Holy Smokes Theater because they had to become more aggressive. They cannot afford, they don't want Florida State to become a Big Ten member. There's been communications, indirect communications. There has been, I'm telling you, and that is going to come out when these reports come out publicly, when they start writing about the next realignment wave. This has to diminish the relationship between ESPN and Florida State. We've already communicated with the Florida State money perch, who accurately told us December 26, 2022. He told us, we reported it live, that in a couple months that there was going to be a public announcement from Florida State officials, and it happened. February 24th, Mike Alford came out and spoke, 2023. The Florida State money perch, he didn't know about the Magnificent Seven, but everything else he's been dead on. He did not know those meetings were occurring. I don't think anybody outside the athletic directors of those 7 schools knew it until Ross Dellinger broke at Yahoo Sports the morning of the ACC spring meetings. This guy, we've already talked to him today. We've already communicated to him today. And I can tell you now, we need to talk more before I come out with any kind of report tomorrow. But I can tell you, this, I've tried to explain this before. I'm going to try to explain this again. I don't want any Seminole fans saying, Greg, you're being mean. I'm just telling you how it is. The perception, even internally, but I'm going to, outside of Tallahassee, The perception of the Board of Regents, the Board of Trustees at Florida State University is that they're different. They're a little bit off the beam. The cheese has slipped off the cracker. They're a little bit too risky, a little bit too boisterous, a little bit too unprofessional when they have their Board of Trustees meetings. I told you even before that public meeting happened, the difference between Clemson's Board of Regents and Florida State Board of Trustees is as wide as can be. The difference in miles between where Florida State University is and Clemson, a little bit north of East Georgia, Northeast Georgia, the difference in miles isn't great, but the difference in how they conduct business is gigantic. However, Florida State, you can take that now as a compliment because it's exactly who you want. That's the type of people that you exactly who you want backing you up right now today, Sunday, December 3rd. You want somebody right now who will go great lengths to figure out an escape hatch, to mount up, to take the risk, to get the money from an investment firm. Tell the investment firm you'll get a share of the tickets, the t-shirts, the whatever, a sponsorship. We give you a slice of it for the next 50 years. Get us out of the ACC so we can go to the SEC, so we can go to the Big Ten, so we are viewed at who we are with great value. The Board of Trustees at Florida State, they're a little bit off the wall, but now that is exactly what you need. The conservative play is not the right play here. It isn't. It isn't. You didn't get stabbed in the back, Florida State. You got stabbed in the front. And now, every time internally, when there is a possible realignment wave, the first part of the wave that gets it created is the internal politics of the school. The faction that wants movement, the faction that wants change has to be big enough to start the wave. And of course, it has to be from a school that has great value in the marketplace, like Florida State does. The energy that this event, this travesty, this is going to create, in my strongly held opinion, internally at Florida State that's exactly the gasoline and the match that lights it to get it going, to get that wave finally moving. Internally, if you're a person of position, a Board of Trustees member, a faculty, alumni, a booster, if you're a booster who's been chirping for the last 3 years that Florida State needs to leave the conference, after this, your position has become more powerful. You possibly have become more powerful. The faction has become more powerful. The faction that didn't want change, that wanted to stay with the ACC or wanted to go to the SEC, that faction has become weaker. And it might be such a dramatic difference now. It gets the wave moving. And we're talking about Florida State here, obviously, but you don't think Clemson is looking out right now? You don't think Clemson is going, holy smokes, we could have been 13-0 and not make the playoffs? Are you serious? The selection committee devalued ACC today. Not just Florida State, but ACC. It cut the legs out from under that conference. I don't think they did it. This is just me. I don't think they did it in a coordinated effort. I don't think this is a great conspiracy. I just think that everybody knows subconsciously, internally, they know where their bread is buttered. SEC butters the bread. They don't want to run out of bread. So this is where it's pure inertia. Pure inertia. The power of SEC and ESPN took over this committee. predicting the future became more important than what actually happened on the football field for that committee, because predicting the future favored the SEC in this particular case. Ryan Willie, I appreciate you super chat. ESPN wants an all SEC title game. Has the ACC implosion started? We are going to cover this story like nobody's business. Okay? You saw us cover the Colorado story. Nobody covered it like we did. Not on YouTube. Nobody covered the USC to the Big Ten. We were the ones that broke the story. Nobody covered the Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten like we did. You know this. Nobody's been covering what's been going on behind the curtains. We tell you in the Holy Smokes Theater. Nobody. This event could be creating the inertia. We've been talking about the first quarter of 2024 since December 26, 2022. Do you think this event pushed that along, or do you think it stopped it? Of course, it pushed it. We're going to be covering it, Ryan. Has the implosion started? I'm going to say no. But what is going on the ground, it's like a tornado warning. No, it's like a tornado watch. The atmospheric conditions are conducive for a tornado. The atmospheric conditions in ACC country is conducive to an implosion. Thank you, Ryan, for the super chat. John Teal, thank you for the super chat. Don't forget how ESPN cut the throat of the Pac-12. Everybody, that was the, what's that movie? The Orient Express. The Orient Express, where everybody stabbed the person. That's what the Pac-12 was. Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah, that's how that happened. Okay, I've calmed down again. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Greg to Detroit. Nope, not going to Detroit. I'm staying right here in the studio in Minnesota. Becky, go Huskies. The ACC games are being announced. Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports. Florida lawmakers already have an appetite to propose state legislation to protest Florida State not making the college football playoffs. A source close to lawmakers told Florida Office Sports it's unclear what direction the bill could take, but legislators are discussing a few options. Now, that is a possibility in regards to realignment as well. The state could get involved. Florida State is a public school. The Holiday Bowl. The Holiday Bowl is the Louisville Cardinals versus USC. Louisville, USC in the Holiday Bowl.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, Mr. Bearcat, the floor is yours. What do you think's going on, sir?
I don't know what to think's going on, Greg. I played golf today, and I may or may not have sit at the 19th hole too long. So I'm just giving you a fair warning.
Okay. Okay.
No, when you came up a few minutes ago, it said the ACC's trying to finalize who's gone to what bowl. it just popped into my mind where Florida State might have wanted to tell the ACC, hey, we want to go because we have a tie-in with the Sun Bowl that is on CBS, or we want to go to the Holiday Bowl, which we have a tie-in with, that is on Fox. So ESPN doesn't get all the viewers that want to watch Florida State. Now, that's just so off the wall, but wouldn't that be something ironic that would have happened? I mean, Florida State, they're sitting there and they're going, okay, Sankey, okay, ESPN. It's pretty clear as what happened. And we really, really have made our thoughts known for over a year now, and then you pull this on us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the arrogance of the SEC and Sankey, and it's the arrogance of ESPN. I mean, it really, really is. You tell me that just look at the viewership for Florida State, Greg. It's not about that. It's not about ESPN trying to maximize viewership. I get it. All these schools that are in have great viewership.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida State's right there with the other four. So that couldn't have been it. It occurred to me that a few years ago, there was a big controversy about letting Ohio State in because they were down to their third quarterback.
Yeah.
Ohio State got in, didn't they?
Yeah, they got in. And they
won it, too.
Yep.
They won it.
Yep.
So don't give me the diminished roster thing because the game's a month away. You got 2 weeks of practice. You got 1 month of preparation. And I'm not saying Florida State would go in and beat any of these teams. I'm not saying that at all. But give them a chance.
Yeah.
Give them the opportunity. It's just, it's, I heard about it on the golf course and I went, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That happened.
Yeah.
And
I was doing a live show and I put my head in my hands. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch your earlier show that I missed. But it's just, thank God for 12 teams next year. Of course,
yes.
we'll be complaining about the 13th, 14th, and 15th team too.
Yeah.
But still, it gets more people in. But who's to say there's not going to be 4 SEC teams in there somehow next year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, nothing should surprise anybody from here on out.
Yes.
It really, really shouldn't. Unfortunately, it happened. And I'll take whatever the line is with my Bowling Green Falcons against your Minnesota Gophers in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Yeah, I like to gamble when I've had a few.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyhow,
I don't know what the line's going to be on that game.
No. I got a feeling Minnesota's offensive and defensive line would be
maybe.
They could probably take over the game in the third and fourth quarter.
We'll see.
Bowling Green's they're very average.
The Gophers. The Gophers are playing a quarterback they've never played, and he's leaving the program after the game's over. The backup quarterback is a true freshman walk-on.
Yeah.
The secondary, we got about 4 true freshmen playing. So Bowling Green, Minnesota, going to be a tight game.
It'll be fun. Just from my perspective, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I watch about every bowl game. So the ACC is finalizing. Right before I called, you were saying Louisville. They are finalizing all their bowl teams for all their tie-ins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to touch base. I'm still shouldn't say shocked.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty surprised that this all came down like this. But it is what it is. Nothing's going to change from here on out. So, we'll watch and see how everything plays out here in the next few months, because I can't wait to hear you tomorrow after you talk to the Florida State Money Perch, because there's going to be There'll be lots of things going on between now and the Orange Bowl.
Yes.
Regarding Florida State.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So, all right, Greg. Thanks for taking my call. Have a great night.
You got it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Where did Becky go, Husky? I don't know where your super chat comment went. And it's not listed anymore. I don't know what happened. Becky Go Husky, I apologize. Can you rewrite your super chat comment? Just put another comment. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went.
Call from
Rebecca.
Rebecca, first of all, I apologize. You made a super chat. I thank you so very much. I don't know where it went. I don't know if I deleted it. I don't know if I'm losing my mind.
Well, you're not losing your mind. I did do one.
You did one, but
right as Steve came on and was talking.
But I can't see it anymore.
That's okay. I just essentially said that FSU, even if they were in the Big Ten or the SEC, they still would have been left out. Boo Corrigan basically said the reason why they didn't get the 4 spot was their quarterback issues.
Yeah, well,
so the injuries
and
played
Florida
the role.
State ain't
so
fine,
I was like,
I got it.
So
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the ACC, because that wasn't a problem. They just said, basically, we don't think you can beat any of the other teams right now.
Yeah, and
I don't think they're wrong.
Yeah, and I understand they're saying that. I got a problem with that, but I understand what I think it should. I think the results on the field should dictate what you get at the end of the season. But I have a disagreement with the committee.
No, I'm with you. I thought Florida State earned it and deserved it.
Yeah.
More so than Alabama. I just think the committee didn't have the backbone to leave the SEC out.
Yeah.
Where they have a complete backbone for the other 9 conferences as well as all the independents, but they just can't leave out the SEC. So
Yeah.
Alabama basically got in because of the history of the SEC over 20 years.
Yeah. So what are you feeling here, Becky? What Washington? You talked about Texas being able to defend the pass. You've got to be feeling good, or inability to defend the pass. Are you feeling pretty good?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think the funny thing, not a lot of people said this, like Texas is like number 5 or something like that against the run.
Mm-hmm.
So you can throw on them. You don't run the ball well on them, and UW wants to run the ball, but their nose tackle weighs 360. He's about 85 pounds heavier than our center.
Yeah.
Our center is a freshman. He weighs about 275, but he's strong. Like he's probably they said he's the strongest player on the team. Like he can bench press a Buick.
Yeah.
So that's how he got to play. I'm more or less feeling like this game is going to come down. I mean, first off, we're already 4-point dogs, so that was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we're like, yes, we're 4.5 dogs to Texas, which is wild, but it makes sense because right now everybody's trying to figure. There's not enough flights to get down to New Orleans.
Oh.
From Seattle, so yeah, like people are like flying into Houston, renting a car and driving to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Mostly 2 reasons. One, it's the closest airport you can get, and then that's cheap. And then 2, well, if we win, well, you're going to be in Houston anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's already. I mean, and just to say this, like flights are already. They were already $700 this morning before the announcement.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's not. It's going to be difficult for a lot of folks to get down there. You know, we would have preferred obviously the Rose Bowl because of the logistics. Like, also, you know, I looked at those prices and $200 for a round trip to LA, not bad. I'd rather pay that, but so a lot of the fans here, it's kind of a logistical nightmare to get down there. Well, I love New Orleans and all that, but there's only a couple of direct flights. So it's really just where can we go and how much is this going to cost us? But we're 4-point dogs. Texas, Texas is going to want to run the ball, set up their play action.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same offense like what we're going to play, but they just have more talent in the stars. They have more 5-stars than we do. But really, I think it's just like, I'll say it out loud. They can't cover our receivers. Like, we're going to, like, the difference between us and say like in Oklahoma is, and Oklahoma is very similar in offense to us and what they do, is we're not just going to push your 1 and 2 corner. Most teams can only push your number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
We go right now. We're 5 deep at wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 5
Polk
NFL caliber wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going to push it, and it's going to be fairly difficult, I think, for Texas to cover. Texas has to. I mean, Penix wants to go deep as often as often as possible. Unlike a lot of teams, our right tackle is really good protecting the blind side because he's left-handed. Our left tackle is crazy good. He's probably a first-round draft pick. He'll be a guard because he's like 6'4", so he'll probably be a guard in the NFL. But he's still very good. I'm just more or less looking at Alabama and Michigan because Michigan wants to run the ball. Like, Alabama's going to take that away. I don't know. I'm very curious what Michigan's going to do because they ran the same play over and over that to the tight end. Anytime they needed 3 or 4 yards in a first down, they just ran that little out route to the tight end, and they're like, okay, he's open. So I don't know. I will say this. Being that it is the Rose Bowl, both teams are traveling a distance. I think it evens it out a little bit more. Like people don't realize like that jet lag is real. And the travel plays a role. They'll be there obviously, the whole week, but Michigan and Alabama in the Rose Bowl, it just feels funky. It should have been like, had everybody just done their part, it would have been Michigan and Washington in the Rose Bowl. We would have gotten one last Big Ten Pac-12 Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
This is like the bittersweet part about this. I don't know. You're a Big Ten guy. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. It could have been one last Rose Bowl. Yeah.
I mean, we get to keep the stadium next year because UCLA plays there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a lot, but I'm like gut wrenched for Florida State. I thought that they deserved it.
Yeah.
More so. I mean, everybody's talking about the resume and they talk about the play, and I'm like, everybody's had close games this year. Yeah. Everybody.
That's the nature of the beast. Yeah.
There isn't a single team. Like, if we're gonna say it, like, technically Michigan struggled with Maryland.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have struggled with Maryland, but they did.
Yeah.
And they've done that in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
yes.
At what point do we say, like, this is the nature of the game, like, this is how it works? And to just basically punish Florida State because their quarterback is hurt, it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Right? And he wasn't even going to be the quarterback playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, the guy would have came back and played in the bowl game. Yeah, Rod Mock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like. And I thought he played well
Yes.
against
Yeah.
Florida. I mean, it's his first ever start. It's on the road, and the Swamp isn't an easy place to play. SEC fans will tell you that. Like, it's not an easy place to play. There are certain places in this country where it's always hard. And to make your first career start at a night game in the Swamp, like, that's lights out. Like, I thought he played well.
I could not agree with you more, Becky. Yep.
Yeah. I'm just like,
and I like to disagree with you, Becky. I do. I love to disagree with you, but I can't.
I know. I'm just spouting off like what everybody's thinking essentially. I mean, I think Michigan. By the way, Michigan is a 2-point favorite. In the Rose Bowl. 2 points over Alabama, which I'm like, I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But 2-point favorites over the Tide, and we'll see. I'm really the big thing I'm looking forward to is, and I really want to see this. I want to see Ole Miss and Penn State. I really want to see that. Like, I think that's the bet. That one and then Missouri and Ohio State are going to. Those are the two New Year's Six games that I think are going to be the best.
I think, we'll talk more about in the off season, but I think Missouri's setting up pretty good to make a run at the playoffs as an at-large bid next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I put it in there. I said all but one spot. Technically, all but two. 10 of the spots are to the new Big Ten and new SEC next year, because Florida State and Liberty are the other two. So, like, this just tells you like what is going to happen next year. And I think if people don't pay attention to that, the thought process on this, this is what next year is going to look like. I don't mean like the Big 12, the ACC. They're going to be one bid conferences. Like, I think that's how it's going to go, unless you just get like a 13-0 and a 12-1 squad. So, but anyway, I'll let you go. Also, real quick. I don't think they're going to get rid of conference championships. I think that was the lamest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, they're not going to get
Florida
rid
State,
of it. The
if
conferences
they still got
love
rid of
it.
it. Florida State's in the same boat.
Yeah.
And this time they get leapfrogged because they don't have the extra data point.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Pac-12 and Big Ten both learned that in the BCS era. So
yes, yes, they did early on. Yes, they did.
All right, Greg, if I don't talk to you before the end, happy holidays and good luck in, I don't know what bowl game the Gophers are in, but good luck in your bowl game.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it, Becky.
Okay. Yeah.
Go Huskies. Husky, Becky, go Huskies. Great call. Thanks for calling once again. John Teal. Don't forget how ESPN cut the throat of the Pac-12. We had that. John Teal, thank you for your super chat. The Pac was like Julius Caesar. Et tu, Brute. ESPN, thank you, John Teal, for your continued generosity to college football's peak around the corner. We're going to close up this live show. We've been on the air twice today. We've been on the air for about 3 hours today. I know we're going to have some information tomorrow. So, I would strongly advise, if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel and get yourself notified. Hit the notification bell. Be universally notified, so when we come on live or when we drop an episode, you will be ready for college football's peak around the corner. There's also something else that we have been doing for the last couple of weeks. We wanted to expand the content we provide. In doing so, we also include the first initial info to drop at college football's Cloak and Dagger. Early peak episodes for members only. $5.99 a month. Just one level. Early peak members. We got a lot of them already. If you are interested, hit the join button. Hit the join button. Become an early peak member and watch for the early peak episodes to drop early in the morning. So if you're interested in becoming an early peak member for our show, hit the join button. Thank you so much for all the great comments. Legendary phone calls today. Great first call, Stacy. Great first call, Jamie Thornton. Becky coming back. Thanks. Beautiful call. Everybody. Steve Bearcat. All the great calls today. Unbelievable. If you agree with me, disagree with me, it don't matter. Great college football talk here at College Football's Peak Around the Corner. Stick with us because this is going to be, we were already going to have a very dramatic first quarter of 2024. We've been giving you a warning. I don't know what else to say to you. I pushed the envelope as much as I possibly could. We're going to be updating the Holy Smokes Theater later this week. Could be even tomorrow. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you can get notified because we're going to come in hot. So buckle up. Until next time. From all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.